Hello, this is my third video on the SC101 Lindberg model, which is also called the Diamond Duster. I've changed the title in my YouTube videos to show that it also represents that car, and it's apparently a 1/12 scale model. Last I showed you, I had this frame assembled. I've since put the gear on the shaft and then put the drive shaft together and the collar and this frame member. And as you notice, it says that the drive shaft on this part does not get cemented into the back of the engine. It has to be free to move. This part right here that goes to the transmission part. So then I made sure and clean these parts for cementing. Put the gears in, put a little Vaseline on there, glued it. And as you see, we're putting the motor in here, starting to assemble the motor and glue it in. It has a pin right back here where the transmission sits on the frame member. And then in the front, as you just saw, there's little chrome mounts, and you have to, of course, clean this off to cement the engine mounts to it. Then you have to start assembling the rear end, and I started putting these little pieces in, which they will pivot, and as you'll see, they get a spring assembly eventually. Let me just turn this. You can see that there's some, these two pieces here are free spinning. They do not get cemented to the back arms, or whatever you want to call them, that snap into these two pieces. There's a couple of axle shafts, and as you'll see, these will both have springs. So at first you push the axle into the differential, and then into the axle piece, or whatever you want to call it. They're the hub spinner, and they go through the axle support. They call it an axle assembly and axle support. Then you put these pieces on, which they show here. And they also recommend that you tap these axle shafts with the provided screws, so that when you go to put the tire and wheel assemblies on, that you won't have any problem with that. Here I've taken and put the springs over the two shock absorber halves, and then they don't glue. You just push the fork of the shock absorber down over the inside here. It's kind of hard to see it in this, but you see a little ridge right there. And so then they you can see it in this picture where they put the fork of the shock absorber just forward of that little lip, and then carefully push down and push it under the two ribs here. So this is what you end up with, left and right. Then we start doing the front part, which is done almost identically as the rear part. Only here you start taking and putting the pitman arm together, which it's chrome, so you have to make sure and remove chrome from here and inside the nut. Put it through the drag link, cement it, and here you put it through 83C and clean it and cement it, and then you clean the tip of 83C and put it into the axle. This is for your steering. Which you can see here will eventually be put on here when they put the steering box on. And again, carefully you push these parts in to the A-arms. Just take care to do it so you don't break anything. And then they want you to tap these axles as well. Now on the tie rod, they want you to take the two pieces of the tie rod and then this little sleeve. And of course you clean the chrome between both pieces. You cement it, and then you take your scale or your ruler and make the ends, the very tips, not the holes, but end to end will be 4.5 inches exactly. That way the front end will be straight, and when you steer it, it will be accurate. And then once that dries, you put them over the pins of each of the axles and then put a chrome nut over it. They also show the two shock absorbers put on here too, which are done in the exact same way as the rear ones. I meant to mention that. Then you take the radiator halves. I painted mine. It comes as orange. I went ahead and painted it black. There's a little screw block that gets glued in right here that will help you screw it to the bottom of the belly of the body once everything is all assembled. Now, my kit did not have the radiator hoses. I'm wondering about getting me some rubber hose for that. But so far, I don't have that. Then on the next page, they show you putting together the steering gear and box assembly with these pieces and the last two orange gears that are left, and the rest of it's all chrome plated. And then the box mounts right to the two pins that are on the frame, and then you put the pitman arm on there and it gets put on there. They say press it on. I did put a little glue on mine, but care has to be taken that this stuff moves easily, because the gearing on this thing is not the greatest, so it will slip a little bit. At least mine does, but it does work. It could be there's a little bit of tension here. I'm going to make sure and put a little bit of Vaseline to make sure that it steers easily. But so far everything is working good. Now I have not put the exhaust pipes on yet, so I'm at this stage of the assembly. So I'll give you an overlook of what everything looks like so far. I've also put the brake lines on, which are rubber hoses. They show that in these shots right here, which are after the exhaust, but I've already put them on. So you can kind of see how this looks here. You can see that, these do move freely. They are suspended individually. So as you can see, I don't have radiator hoses on, but so that has been the progress of my SC101 Lindberg kit so far, and hopefully we'll go further. And I meant to show you too what one of the body parts looks like. I've laid it out here. Now this is after I did the primer, and then the base. We did the primer, then and then I did a metallic coat, the gold, and then also the red metallic metal flake. Turned out really nice and smooth. Again, I used the model spray paints. So this got a couple of coats on it, but this to give you an idea of what the pieces look like. And I've also assembled the wheels, put the sidewalls in, put the disc brake parts into them, both front and rear. Also made the two spares and assembled them inside the interior. Now, my black rubber pieces were missing except for two pieces that go in these little holes here. So I'm going to use some, maybe this piece of black towel or whatever, and cut the pieces and make it look like interior. And also I've assembled the seats with the headrests. So as of this date, that's what I've got finished on this kit so far. Thank you for watching.